Okay, welcome everyone. For this deep dive, we're going into a really fascinating time, moving beyond just, thinking about the universe philosophically
Right.
to actually trying to engage with it, getting your hands dirty, so to
Yeah,
speak.
actively participating.
Exactly. So our sources today, they look at the Renaissance, things like Christian Cabala and alchemy.
Which weren't just fringe ideas back then.
No, not at all. These were serious paths for thinkers who, well, they didn't just want to read the book of nature.
They wanted to be part of the writing, or at least
Yeah.
understand the language it was written in.
Yeah, finding ways to interact, even if they seem strange to us now, legitimate knowledge at the time.
Absolutely.
So, our mission here is to explore what the sources call the inner fires,
That drive thing.
that intense push for divine understanding and maybe even material perfection that really fuel these esoteric currents.
And I think that shift you mentioned from passive observation to active engagement, that's really the core of it.
How knowledge itself was seen differently.
Exactly. It wasn't just about neat theories. There was this urgency to find ways, practical ways, even if symbolic, to interact with the cosmos, to gain direct insight, maybe even influence things.
Okay, that makes sense. Less about drawing the map, more about finding the paths on the map.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so let's start with Christian Kabbalah. Where did this actually come from, and why did Renaissance thinkers suddenly grab onto it?
Well, its roots, they're deep in Jewish mystical tradition.
Okay.
The focus there was on, uncovering hidden meanings. In the Hebrew scriptures, the names of God,
Even the letters themselves.
especially the letters, they were seen as holding profound significance. And what's really interesting is how Renaissance Christian scholars just embraced it. People like Pico della Mirandola.
Pico, right. He
It's-
thought it was like a master key, didn't he?
He absolutely did. They didn't see it as like some alien system. They truly believed Kabbalah held universal truths.
Universal truths that could do what, exactly?
Well, unlock the secrets of creation, for one,
Mm.
but also validate Christian beliefs in new ways and help them grasp the structure of the cosmos itself.
So they integrated it, saw it as another layer of reality.
Precisely. A hidden layer that revealed deeper connections.
So what were they actually doing? I mean, what was the core practice for these Christian Kabbalists?
At its heart, the idea was that the universe wasn't just stuff. It was layered with hidden meaning, like a code.
Code.
And the key to this code, they thought, was in the Hebrew letters. Not just symbols for sounds, but divine emanations.
Emanations with power.
Yeah, packed with specific powers and, this is crucial, numerical values. That system, gematria.
Right, gematria. Numbers tied to letters.
Yeah.
That changes how you see language entirely.
It really does. The belief was if you could manipulate these letters and numbers, figure out their correspondences, their symbolic links,
You could unlock insights.
profound insights, yeah, into God, angels, the forces shaping the world. This is where that idea of a signature comes in, linguistically and mathematically.
So names, numbers, symbols weren't just labels.
No, they believed these things held inherent power. They revealed hidden connections, like the underlying wiring of reality.
So understanding these signatures, it wasn't just an intellectual game. There was a purpose.
Definitely. The goal, or the perceived outcome, was to align yourself with these cosmic flows.
Uh-huh.
Maybe even draw down celestial influences, for healing, knowledge, protection.
Okay, so it's a kind of magic, but based on language.
Intellectual magic, you could say.
Yeah.
Rooted in this deep belief that language is a divine mirror. Understand the language, interact with the blueprint.
Language as a tool to interact with the blueprint of reality. Wow, okay. Let's switch gears a bit. Alchemy.
Ah, yes, alchemy.
We hear that word, and it's instantly led into gold. But the sources, they say that's really missing the mark.
Oh, completely. Reducing it to just chasing wealth, it's a total misunderstanding, especially in the Renaissance context.
So what was the core belief then?
The foundation was this idea of the anima mundi, the world soul,
The world soul.
meaning that all matter, even the lowest stuff like lead, wasn't dead. It was alive, imbued with his soul, and it was striving, evolving towards perfection.
The whole universe was seen as alive and changing.
Exactly. Dynamic, constantly becoming.
So transmutation, turning lead into gold, wasn't just chemistry.
Not primarily, no. It was seen as a philosophical, even spiritual process. The lab work was about guiding matter towards its innate perfection.
Revealing its true signature, gold being the perfect signature.
Precisely. Gold was the perfected state, emerging from the base signature of lead. The alchemists felt they were helping nature along, accelerating its own drive towards perfection.
And they could actually see this happening, track the progress.
They believed so, yes. through really complex symbolism, but also by reading the signatures in the material itself.
How? What kind of signatures?
Well, the colors changing in the vessel were huge signs. Yeah, the blackness, the negredo, representing decomposition, then the whiteness, the albedo, purification, the iridescence, the peacock's tail, and finally the reddening, the rubedo, linked to the philosopher's stone.
So these weren't just chemical changes to them.
No, they were seen as visible proof, signatures of the substance's inner spiritual transformation, its journey.
Wow.
And even the shape of their flasks, the materials they used, the symbols they drew on things, planets, animals, they were all chosen for their specific signatures and supposed connections in the cosmos. Every little change was a sign.
Every change a sign. And this connects to that doctrine of affinities, right? The idea that substances sort of liked each other.
Exactly that. They watched how some things mixed easily, like they had an affinity, while others resisted.
Not just chemical reactions, but sympathy.
Yes, inherent sympathy or affinity.
Yeah.
Think mercury and sulfur. They were seen as these fundamental principles, almost spirits, with a deep affinity for metals. That's why they were so central.
So understanding these hidden attractions, these relationship signatures, that was practical for their experiment.
Absolutely crucial. How else could you guide the process? And it wasn't just metals. This idea extended to things like herbal medicine.
The doctrine of signatures in plants.
Right. The idea that a plant's shape or color, its signature, told you which part of the body it had an affinity for, what it could heal. A plant shaped like a liver might be good for the liver, that kind of thing.
This sounds incredibly involved. Just observing and interpreting all these signs must have taken immense effort.
A lifetime's work for many.
Which brings up a key question. Was all this effort just about the physical stuff? Making gold, finding cures? Or was there something more profound going on?
Now you're getting to the heart of it. For many, maybe most of the serious practitioners, the physical results were just, well, a lower rung. Important, yes, but not the ultimate aim.
Not the true work.
Not the true work.
So what was the ultimate goal? The real quest?
Gnosis.
Gnosis,
A
meaning.
direct, intuitive, almost mystical knowledge of the divine.
And the path to that wasn't just books or prayer.
No, it was also through meticulous observation, interpretation of these signatures found everywhere in nature. Nature was God's living book.
Reading the signs in the world around them.
Yes, to discern the Creator's presence, active and alive, woven into everything.
And the belief was, if you could do that, if you could really read that book, what happened?
It was thought to lead to spiritual enlightenment, a deep understanding of cosmic harmony, and ultimately the purification, the transformation of your own soul.
So the outer work mirrored an inner transformation.
Exactly. The process of understanding and perfecting nature in the lab, or decoding divine language in Cabala, was seen as a direct reflection, a facilitator of your own inner spiritual journey.
The outer reflecting the inner, that really highlights the depth, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. So the doctrine of signatures, in this light, it's way more than just a quirky system for finding herbs. It's a path of contemplation.
Meditation almost.
Yes, where the physical world becomes a kind of divine scripture, guiding the seeker towards wisdom, towards communion with the sacred. That was the real inner fire.
Not just making gold.
No. As one source puts it beautifully, to see the gold, you must first understand the spirit of the lead.
The surface often hides the deepest truth.
Exactly.
So we've traced Christian Cabala, searching for God in language and number and alchemy, striving for perfection in matter. Different paths, but both driven by this hunt for hidden meaning, for signatures.
And both aiming for this really active engagement with the cosmos, spiritually and intellectually.
Yeah, the common thread seems to be this conviction that reality has hidden layers, that meaning is embedded everywhere, and understanding those patterns, those signatures, it's a path to transformation.
Not just knowledge, but transformation of the self.
So listening to this now, how might you take this kind of Renaissance mindset and maybe apply it today, just as a thought experiment?
Yeah, think about something ordinary near you. Your coffee mug, maybe.
Yeah.
A tree outside.
What signatures could you look for if you put on those Kabbalist or alchemist glasses?
Are there numbers involved?
Yeah.
Patterns? Shapes? What could they symbolize? Or think about its material spirit. If it had an anima mundi, what's its essence, its potential perfection?
How does its current form relate to that potential? And its function of mug holds things. What does containment or warmth or nourishment signify on a deeper level?
Right. Or a book holds knowledge. What does that say about our drive to understand?
It's really an exercise in shifting how you see things, isn't it? Seeing the world not as just inert objects, but as potentially full of meaning.
Full of connections.
Yeah.
Helps appreciate how these thinkers sought profound truths in what seems mundane to us.
Because, like that source said, the deepest truth might be hidden right under the surface.
Maybe seeing the gold in our own lives means looking for the spirit in the everyday lead.
Yeah. Maybe there's a lot more to see around you than you usually notice. Something to think about.